And bam, what's going on YouTube? So I'm going to be reviewing a hidden gem of mine that I've loved for quite a few years from 2004, a film called Closer. But in this review, I am not alone actually. I am here with Imon Snow Frost
You always do that.
every time. But I'm here with Imon, YouTuber.
Imon Snow on YouTube
Yeah.
and Imon Frost in real life. So it's like,
Yeah. And
I can understand the mix up.
it's a little bit tricky, but we're gonna be dissecting this film because I think it deserves the love. And we're gonna start with a spoiler-free section talking about the film. And oh boy, we're gonna try to keep this short, spoiler-free. But I guess it's kind of it might seem like a romance movie, but it's really not. It's almost like a deconstruction of a formulaic romantic film where the main characters are, at least in my opinion, none of them are likable, and they're all devious to large extents, and they're like they just interweave throughout each other's lives, and it's pretty dark, thought provoking stuff. Your thoughts on how to spoiler free describe Closer?
Yeah. Um, well, like I was telling you, I thought it was a romantic comedy or something like that, or just, something about love.
Hmm.
And I was mistaken. And I think it's a what I don't know, spoiler free. It's really hard. Um, there's a lot that happens in the movie that I feel like it's worth the watch, just because it's so different than like a love story.
Hmm.
Like you said, they're kind of four people that aren't bad. They're kind of all bad people. So it's interesting to kind of follow the lives of these four people and kind of the I don't know how deep you want to get into it, but for the spoiler free, but
Hmm.
like their sexual lives in a way too. That's kind of a big thing, and it's really thought provoking, uncomfortable at
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
So
And it's
yeah,
a very dialogue driven film. So anyone
yeah.
who's like a fan of like say the dialogue god himself, Aaron Sorkin, like I am, you'll definitely appreciate that. Um, I don't know that there's anything else to really add except that I wouldn't even watch a trailer personally. I would just say to just watch it. I don't even think I ever have seen or maybe I have, but I wouldn't even recommend watching a trailer. I would just recommend just watching it. It's very dialogue driven. It's very dark. It's thought provoking, and yeah, it stars. I guess I probably should mention that Jude Law, Natalie Portman, Clive Owen, and Julia Roberts. So,
A great cast.
and it's a 10 out of 10 for me, for sure. I've seen it multiple times. It's been a few years now, like current time, but I've seen it a few times. It's a 10 out of 10. How would you rate it?
I would do 9 out of 10 just because I was brokenhearted at the end, which I know I shouldn't put my feelings into it.
Hmm.
10 out of 10 for the dialogue. Probably the best dialogue I've heard. It's so entertaining.
Yeah.
But I just be prepared going into it that you're not. Don't get your heart broken.
It's a very bleak story, but yeah. Anything else you want to add, spoiler free wise, before we switch?
Oh no,
No.
I
All
think
right.
that's all.
Well then, bam. Let's switch to spoiler filled section of the film. Closer. My God, I wish I could remember how I stumbled across this film, but the first thing that strikes me about this film is that none of the main characters are likable, and B, for the amount of like sexual situations or language, there is no sex at all in the film, which it's
I didn't
surprise.
realize that.
You didn't?
Nope.
Yeah, yeah.
In
There's
my head, I'm like,
To be honest,
what is
I
that?
would even go as far as to say I don't even think there's any nudity in the film at all either. I don't think there is. I think it's just strictly the language. I mean, what they say and do to each other is incredibly dark. But yeah, as far as nudity and sex goes, it's not there, which is
Oh
surprising.
my gosh. That's actually okay.
Yeah,
My mind's been blown again here.
no, I was gonna say thoughts on that because you seem to be.
I'm trying to think and see, like in my head, like there wasn't. I swear it was all over the place.
No, no, no.
I guess that's the dialogue. It was
Yeah,
so graphic.
yeah.
I mean, really, and like the way that they like look at each other
Mhm.
and just talk and like, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and I mean, there was one moment between Natalie Portman and I should probably call them by their their character names. There was one moment between Alice and Larry in the strip club, but even that, like
Hmm.
the moment where he's like, you know, like it's blocked by his head, when she's like doing the splits and she's like sitting across from him. So like even then, nothing. So it's
I
just
think there is one moment. There's one stripper too that you do see topless. I believe, but
is
that's
there?
like not even the main characters
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
That I mean, I think though. I'm not 100%. But I think
Yeah,
so.
like I said, it's been years since I've seen the film, but
It's a great point to bring
yeah,
up.
yeah. But in case I'm wrong about the nudity thing, there was no sex, so hey. But
Yeah.
I guess we could start with the performances for sure because it's really just run by Julia Roberts, Jude Law, Natalie Portman, and Clive Owens kind of strictly. They're like
Hmm.
the central characters, and the chemistry between all of them is remarkable.
Yeah.
It's just mind blowing to me. Uh, yeah, yeah. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I guess it's derived from a play, so I think that's what has to do with the dialogue and like you kind of it's like the scene. It's stuck in one scene every time, like one just area, and you're just kind of there. And but every scene is entertaining.
Hmm.
And I think it's like very, like you said, they all have very good chemistry with one another. It jumps, it like kind of time jumps a
It
little
does.
bit,
Yeah.
which can be a little bit confusing because you're like, oh, but you get caught back up. You're like, okay, they're in the future now, because I feel like after, I don't remember his name, Jude Law's character's name.
It was Dan.
Dan. Okay,
Yeah.
right. So after Dan meets Alice, and then they're even talking about how when they first meet, like he's got a girlfriend or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then jump to the future. Now she's his girlfriend, and that's when he's getting his picture taken, and it's just like, huh, okay. But you still at that point don't know what kind of a guy he is.
Yeah, for a film that really doesn't have any action or sex or anything like that, it's amazing how, for me, it feels very fast paced. There
Hmm.
may be
Yeah.
the moment where, like when Dan is getting his picture taken by Anna, it's a bit of a slow patch, which I didn't mind, but for the most part, it's very fast moving dialogue
Hmm.
scenes. Like the first thing we see is uh, Alice, she gets hit by the car, and then Jude Law helps her. They go to the hospital, and then they're like in a bus, and then I think that's where the time skip happens. But and it's always interesting, like when they're the two of them, Jude Law and Natalie Portman, when they're talking on the bus, and he works in with obituaries or something like that, and she
Yeah.
like is a stripper or used to be or something.
Yeah.
There's always like information like that that just keeps you going and keeps you going despite so
Mhm.
much dialogue. So I thought that was interesting. Um, and then yeah, and then the scene where Dan gets his photo taken, we realize that he's pretty open to cheating. It's not a
Mhm.
big deal. Um, I guess that's probably a good place to start. What do you think about the main characters all being bad people or devious people?
Um, that was something that I was kind of going through my own head while I was watching the movie, and it was like, well, obviously Dan is bad, and it kind of like from the moment, not when we meet him, But when we see him and Anna together, I'm like, he's not a good guy.
Yeah.
Especially when Alice is in the same room and he's still talking to her about like,
Yes.
hey, let's go, we'll do something. Like she's in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't care. So I still at that point thought everyone else is still innocent.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's like this battle with my mind of like, okay, they're maybe good, they're kind of bad, but when you get to the end, it's just, I don't know. In my head, I don't know, and I'd like to talk to you about that probably at the end of it, but as if Alice was bad herself, or if she was just like a victim, or was she...
She... Well, she was definitely crazy, for starters.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
I think
that's true.
I think that's a fair assessment. Like, because we learn kind of through the ending that at the very beginning she's sort of pretending to be Alice in the first place,
Yeah.
you know. And well, I don't know. I mean, she's sort of up for devious acts. Like when what was this scene? It was Clive Owens and Natalie Portman, and I think they were like in an art museum or something, and they just so happened to be standing by each other, and
Hmm.
what was his character name? Larry is referring to Dan as Cupid, you know, and
Uh-huh.
there's a moment where like the two of them, Clive Owen and Natalie Portman, they pause and they look at each other, and Clive Owen's got his hand on her face, you know, and there's a moment where I was like, are they about to kiss,
I
even though the
know.
other couple's right there? Because Natalie Portman seemed pretty open to it, you know. There's moments like that throughout the film where I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, those are the uncomfortable moments where
yeah.
you're just cringing. Like, what if they see though? Like, you're
Hmm.
right there because it did. I thought they were gonna kiss. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess before we get to dialogue, I guess we should go through these characters one by one since there's only four. But
Okay.
Jude Law has got to be just his character Dan has got to be one of the most pitiful sons of bitches I think I've ever encountered character wise. My God, this man, this character sounds like the brunt of a Bill Burr joke or something like that. I mean, the man is just pitiful. My God, when it's just him and Clive Owen in like I guess Clive Owen's office, and I can't remember. I think like
Oh yeah.
Dan was wet because it was raining or something. I can't remember, but and Clive Owen is just giving him shit over and over again, and like this fool's like crying like a child, and like oh my God, or just the way that he pines for Julia Roberts' character Anna. I'm sorry, I forget their names, but the way that he's just pining for him, it's like, oh my God, Jesus. Uh,
Yeah.
Thoughts on that? Before I go any further, yeah.
Yeah, he was very pitiful, and it was really weird how much he was in love with Anna. And I don't even know if that was like their first time meeting, and he was just like, I love you. I think he said that. I don't remember, but he it was so weird. I mean, he even went online and was flirting with Larry
Oh
on
my
it's
God.
that was the weird, maybe that's where my mind was like, maybe that's what I saw.
Oh my God. Not to interrupt, but that was. I mean, I'm not sure because you're the first person I've ever really spoken to Closer about. Because Closer is a very pretty underrated film. It's like talking to someone about Stay with Ryan Gosling. Who's seen that besides me? Um, but that scene where the two of them are talking to each other in the chat, Larry and Dan, I thought it was hysterical, just completely hilarious. I mean, it was just so wrong.
I know.
It was just so bad, especially how into detail Dan went into it, pretending to be this woman. Like one of my favorite parts in the whole conversation is when I don't know. Dan says something slick, and Larry gets up. And he just goes to like close the door to his office and sits back down. Kills me. Kills me.
It's so gross to me though, because it's like anyone could do that. Like you have no idea who you're even talking to, but he's just like, yeah, this is real, this is happening, and it's like I don't know if that just happens. I don't think girls just start talking. I mean, who knows? But
Yeah.
It was fun. It is a funny scene. It's just like he's so pitiful that he would do something like that. Like I thought he was bisexual or something like that at first because I was like, oh, and then I'm like, wait, he's pretending to be a girl.
Yeah.
What? So,
Yeah, that scene from Dan was hilarious. And yeah, that scene where Dan and Larry are in the office, and Larry's just telling them off and telling them how he slept with Alice, and he's staying with Anna. Oh man, Jude Law's
ooh,
character was just pitiful. Or at the very beginning, even after the photo shoot, Alice goes away, and he's like, "I need to see you again." I was like, "Oh
yeah,
my god,
could not
Jesus!"
believe it.
Oh, pitiful
Yeah,
man. I don't know if you have anything else to add. I think that's about all I got at the current time for Dan.
yeah, I hate him. That's I don't like Dan.
I don't like him either. He bothers me. I guess I'll start with Julia Roberts' character, Anna. She, I don't know. It's like she seemed like an honest. Wait, when we first see her and she and Dan kiss, was Anna with someone or no? I can't remember. That right.
No, no, no. She was single. She
Okay,
had
she
just
was
gotten
single.
divorced, I believe, or separated or something.
Okay. It's like she started off kind of good, but I guess Dan's nagging just didn't. She warmed up to it, I suppose. I don't know. And then,
Yeah,
well, obviously her slip up was, she stayed with Larry for a while and they got married, but for this long chunk of time, she was cheating on Larry with Dan.
which is crazy.
Which
That
brings me, oh
was a
my god.
shocker.
Yeah, that brings me to probably one of the best scenes in the film is when Larry comes home and he's just like I slept with a whore, and then she Anna lets just so nonchalantly, like I never heard a character say that so nonchalantly, just come downstairs, well groomed, perfectly dressed, like, by the way, I got dressed because I had to prepare for you to leave. Why? Slept with a whore. I was just like,
Yeah,
all right. But no, in that scene, she lets him know that she's been with Dan, the wimp, all this time for some reason. So that was her slip up. So I didn't really like her too much after that. But, well, actually, I didn't really like Anna most of the time because I didn't understand how she couldn't just give Dan the cold shoulder for being just a creeper.
yeah. Well, that's kind of my thought was that's why it was so shocking to find out that they had been together this whole time.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I'm assuming it was after they met at the art show, and after he talked with her, something happened where she was like, okay. But I just don't understand because, like you said, he's very pitiful, and it's not attractive for someone to just be like, like the way he is. It's just like he's a creep, and so it was a shock because Clive Owen's character is just really confident and successful and all of that, and seems to take care of her really well. Um, and the other one's like dating Alice. So yeah, I that was probably one of my favorite scenes. That scene with Larry,
Yeah.
just letting her have it.
Oh my god. I don't know. Was there anything? I don't know if there was anything else about Anna that I really wanted
she's
to add.
she's I don't know. I don't really have much to say about her character just because she is very she's kind of not a boring character, but it's like she doesn't have the spice to her like the other ones. Like she's kind of more in the middle.
Yeah,
Um,
she's not as detailed as the other
yeah,
characters for sure. But it's not something that I see as like a flaw. But
no,
she's just not as interesting of a character as the rest of the cast for sure. Um, but I think now would probably be a good time to switch to Larry Boy, Clive Owen.
Larry. Like,
He, man, I've been trying to figure. Well, I'll have to save that. But Clive Owen in this film is incredible. I think his introduction for the first time is the chat room between him and Dan. I think, and then when he shows up at the aquarium, and he's just like, I brought the white coat. His acting, I mean, the whole time was great, but particularly in that scene was so convincing as this man who, like, thinks he just got something popping with this blonde, and now he just seen her, and he's like, oh, here I am, like, and then taken aback, in denial. Like, his acting was just incredible in this
Yeah,
film. Um,
I agree.
but the best sequence was, when he comes downstairs and it's just like I slept with a prostitute. Like, first off,
Yeah.
I just, I don't know. He
Well,
just,
what was he expecting to get from, what was the response he was expecting? I mean,
he said it as if like, oh, by the way, after breakfast, the fender bent in my car. Like, he just said it as if like it was just this really minor thing that I thought was interesting.
right, right.
Um, I guess one thing that I've been racking my brain about was I feel like the film tries to present to you like who do you think is right or wrong in this situation
Yeah.
or that one. In terms of the situation with him sleeping with a prostitute, but her being with Dan for this extended amount of time, I feel like the director's trying to ask like which um, action was worse.
Right.
I mean, I guess for me, I mean they're both they're both equally bad.
Yeah.
At least that's what I thought. I don't know if you saw it differently, but
Well, of course. It's both cheating, but I think because of the longer period of time that she was doing it and they're married and but it was weird how it was brought up where it was like do we have to choose sides like we're the kids and we have to choose who
oh yeah, yeah.
we're choosing who's right here.
I was like, I think they're both. I mean, I could see someone maybe giving the edge um, to Julia Roberts' character because it had been for such an extended amount of time. My God.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're both really bad. You know,
Yeah.
I think they're
Well,
equally
how do
bad.
we know if this was the first time he'd ever done that? Because,
We
like you
don't.
said, he says it like he's eating toast or something. Like it's just that. I don't brush
But
my teeth.
I mean, I guess there is that. I mean, if he was just so blatantly honest, I mean, maybe it really was the first time. But
I don't know. I honestly think that that scene was so interesting.
yeah,
Like he's just she's quiet. She's obviously got things on her mind. And he just says it like that, and it's like, but why? Why did he have to say it? He could have kept that quiet. But it's like he wanted to because it like if it's a one time thing,
yeah.
keep it quiet, don't let her know, and keep it moving and be faithful. And but I don't know. Did she? I can't remember if she asked, "Why did you tell me that?" or one of them. I feel like she might have said that.
I can't remember if she asked why he did that or why'd you tell me this, but he was not ready for her response. That's for sure. My
No.
God, he was like Cupid, and then demanding to tell her about all
Yeah,
the
that's. I
things they
have a
did.
question for you about that.
Mm.
So, why do you think? And is this just a man thing? I mean, I don't know. Is that something that you would want to know every single detail and then just and then leave, or
Okay, first off, no, not for
okay,
me. I'm not sure why he needed that information, but that's not
yeah,
something I would need. I would have had a very different reaction. That's not what would have been the first step for me. Especially the way that he was having her like listed off all the things that they did
yeah,
and like where in the house. It was almost it makes me feel bad, but it was almost like darkly hilarious because it's just so
yeah,
left
it
field.
was.
Who does that? Who does that?
I
Um,
know.
And I just gotta say, the last thing that he said something like, "Thank you, now like fuck off and die," or something
Yeah.
like that. One of the top movie insults I think I've ever heard. Period.
Yeah.
In my whole life.
Yeah.
That's at the top. I gotta say.
I agree with that.
As soon as the scene concluded, I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ!"
I
Wow.
know.
Um. Well, at least we agree that equally both deeds were just
Yeah, of
bad,
course.
just
Of
bad.
course. Right.
Um. Yeah. That scene, my God, that might be the standout scene in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know. Um. What else can I say about Larry? The sequence between him and Natalie Portman in the strip club was a huge
That
scene to
was
me.
intense
Yeah,
too.
him trying to gain information about her and just literally throwing all the money that he had at her. You know.
Yeah. And it was at one point where I was scared for her because he's so good at going from here to here. So
Hmm.
like he's just like, no, I love you, and she's like, no, or she's just like face, like, no, you
Hmm.
don't, and yeah, I do. The way she talks is so like, oh my god. And then he's just like, what does a man have to do to get some intimacy around here? And he's like
Yeah.
screaming at the top of his lungs, and I'm like, they're gonna call security on you. Like, you need to calm down. And so, but for him to just, he kept doing that in that scene where he was calm
Hmm.
and he'd scream really loud, and I thought he might just punch her in the face or something. Like, it was like, he's so unpredictable, and I don't know what to expect from him. But that's really great acting. Like,
Yeah.
he is amazing.
For sure. Do you think that she just random, but do you think that she actually got naked in that one instance when she did the splits?
I don't know.
I wonder if
No,
she actually did or if it was
like at
just
the end of the scene or the
no,
beginning.
it was she's on top of these chairs, she does the splits and
Oh,
he's
right.
like, "Show me." And I'm like, "Man," because like Clive's head is blocking the view and I'm like, is that this camera trickery, or did that like actually happen? And then like there's like Natalie and the director had like an argument, and he was like, you know what, we'll just use Clive's head in a way, and we'll just cut it out. You
Oh,
know what I
I
mean?
see.
I don't know, because sometimes directors are, I mean, they'll
Right.
pull, yeah,
The fast one.
no pulling punches with some people.
I have no idea.
I'm gonna say that she was.
You want to? Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna
Okay.
go with she was, maybe.
Maybe.
I'm gonna say she was. I actually don't know, especially for such an older film. I'm gonna say she was
Yeah. Oh, you think? Okay. I don't know.
because she's Natalie Portman. She's a bold performer, to
Yeah.
me at least. She's not
I love
afraid
her.
to. Yeah,
Yes.
she's not afraid to go there. Oh my God, her and Jackie. I can't wait. But is there anything else with Clive worth mentioning? I don't know. Do you have anything before we
You
move on
know, I think
to?
the only thing I'd say about him is when Dan came to him crying at the end when, he lost Anna and he wanted Anna back. So he took Anna. It was like this switch. They kept switching back and forth between everyone,
Yeah.
which is gross. But he lost Anna again. And he goes there and he's like, "What do I do? Can you please help me?" And you think that he's being nice to him, and then he's like, "You know what? Go find Alice. I know where she's at." And then he's, "Oh, wait, before you go." And then he's
Yeah.
just the biggest bombshell on him, and like, I slept with Alice, and then he's just like, "What?" And he even says Buster because that was their thing, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh man,
Yeah.
like, you are a sneaky guy. Like, but it's almost like he deserved it. Like, you know,
Yeah, I was gonna say before we move on to maybe the biggest character in the film. Did you ever feel sympathetic or, I guess, empathy for any of the characters? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there was one moment with Larry in the strip club because for whatever reason I felt like he was to some extent being genuine, but
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
about it. I mean, they are. It was hard. They really are unlikable people for sure.
I felt sympathy for Alice and for Dan, actually, and not Dan, not Dan, for Larry. Nothing, no sympathy for Dan.
No, no.
I felt sympathy for Larry
Mm.
because even though yes he did cheat, but I don't know what it was, but it was just in that scene where he did argue with Anna and was like, "Where did you do this?" and that, and he's like, "Well, that's where we first did that." I mean, he says it in a more derogatory way, but it's just in the strip club. I did feel sorry for him because he was just broken and he really wanted intimacy. He needed that, but she was cold and but I felt sad for him there. But I felt bad for Alice because I feel like she didn't do anything to hurt Dan, and then he kind of leaves her at first. At
Yeah.
first. At first. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess I didn't feel too bad for Alice because I just felt like to get back with Dan was like come on, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh my god. But yeah, I guess now would probably be a good time to switch to Alice, who has definitely the best character introduction, being hit by a car, literally,
Yeah.
and the best character sign off. Actually, like her moment before the closing credits. Wow, it just occurred to me. I never really thought about this that deeply. But with her kind of walking in slow motion, the last time that we see her in the film, Natalie Portman,
Hmm.
and like all the guys are just like turning their heads, looking at her, and then it just closes out. It just occurred to me. I never really went in deep about that scene, but that scene is quite the finish to the film. I gotta say.
Yeah. There's a lot. Well, there's a lot that I wanted to talk about that ending.
Hmm.
But she is just, yeah, she's a fun character. Like she has the red pinkish hair, and Natalie Portman's really good at playing these kinds of eccentric characters, and I I enjoy her performances in movies, and I think she did another outstanding job. But it's so okay. So this is where we know when they walk into the area where everyone has died, saving someone,
Hmm.
and there's like the bricks where people's names
Yeah.
are and whatever else. It's like the beginning. And when I watched it again, or watched some parts again, and you probably already know that, but like yeah, she took the name right away. She saw the girl's name right there, and because at the end of the movie, Dan goes and he sees the name Alice Ayers or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so then when you actually rewatch it and you see them going to that park the first time, you see her stopping and looking at it.
Hmm.
And the camera kind of is on Dan, but we see her looking. And so I guess she lied to him, right? But
Hmm.
so
For sure. Yeah. She kind of just adopted this. Well, I mean, she was honest about the stripping, but I mean,
yeah, but her
yeah,
name.
yeah, yeah. Her name was definitely not Alice. That's for sure. Yeah, she adopted
No.
that name. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
that was definitely quite the shock for sure. I think I was more shocked by what the last moment of her was trying to suggest to the audience. Like, as a director, just suggesting that um, more people are more devious than than you think they are, or I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not definitively sure. Uh,
Hmm.
what? How did you interpret the
With
last shot of Natalie Portman walking down the street, sidewalk?
hmm, I don't know. That's why when I first watched it, I was just like, well, she's taking herself back. Like, did she win? Is this? a story about her winning, and then it's like all these men are like gawking at her, and what does that mean? Like,
Right.
it's really, what was the point of the movie? Like you said, are people devious? Like, is everyone just evil and ready to cheat and lie and get?
Yeah.
They're all selfish.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still unaware of.
Or how many people are like this, like these
Yeah.
characters, so open to so open to being like morally gray relationship wise. It's like,
Yeah.
damn.
No, that's why I was like, this is giving me no hope, because everyone's cheating, everyone's lying, everyone's scheming, and it's bad. It's not just, oh, I cheated once. It's like long periods of time, and they're, oh, it just makes me uncomfortable thinking about it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there was one moment where Dan was talking to Anna, and Anna says something like, "Oh, well, she's beautiful," implies that like you should stay with her, and Dan's like, he says something like, "Yeah, I know, I love her, but she needs me. I don't need her." I was just like, "What?"
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know. The way that he rationalized his cheating was just really bizarre to me. Um, yeah, I don't
I
know.
know. They all rationalized it in a way, I guess.
Hmm.
So she didn't cheat on anyone, though. Alice.
She didn't cheat on anyone. Alice?
Mm-mm. No, like when she was with Dan, she wasn't with another man, or like it doesn't show her
No, I don't think so.
doing
No, I
anything
don't
like
think
that.
so. Because I think when she and Larry hooked up, I'm trying to remember when this was. Because most of the time in the film is you only find out about the time like through dialogue, the passage of time. So it's a little bit confusing, but
Well, this is okay now. So something just hit me, and this is a big question.
yeah,
So we start out with them. Obviously, it's the same song, and they're walking down the street, and she's got the hair. Um, is the director trying to say that she she lied, right, about her name and who she is,
right, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So are they trying to say that even if you don't cheat on people and are devious in that way, if you lie and scheme in other ways, you're all the same? Because it just doesn't make sense, because she walks down the road at the end with long hair,
Mm-hmm.
confident,
Yeah.
and was that just, I don't know, like, is she just like a master of disguise? Does she do this all the time to
Well,
people?
she must do it all the time, or been doing it for a season for sure. Um, she's got to be some kind of master of disguise. Like, just her behavior in the strip club with Larry, she was very like she was almost like a robot, like an android
Yeah.
film. Like
Yeah.
if I walked into this scene and never saw any other portion of the film, and someone was like, "Oh, it's a sci-fi film, and she's a robot," I'd be like, "Oh yeah, 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 I can see it, yeah." Um,
Yeah.
I mean, it could be trying to imply that like a lie is a lie. Doesn't matter the how bad it is. Like it's just as bad as any other lie, no matter what it is. Maybe I don't know. It's interesting.
I don't know. I'm still at like thinking about it. That's why I guess that makes it a good movie, because you're kind of thinking like
And it's a very dark film. It's weird.
yeah.
I've seen the film plenty of times. Like 'cause I picked it up back in 2004, but watching it now, I was like, wow, this movie's pretty brutal. Uh, I think the reason why I enjoy it so much is that it's very rare for such a dialogue-driven film uh, hosted by despicable people to be so engaging. Like that's very rare. You only come across that type of thing with like I don't know, Gone Girl or stuff like that. It's pretty rare, and it's a great demonstration of how a film with devious people can still be very good and watchable. Even though they're not really likable people, oddly.
Well, yeah, God. now I now I can't even talk because all these things are popping into my head
Mm.
because it's just like maybe this is another person's view on the world. This is just what he thinks is normal. Maybe they're not like devious. It's just how the world is. That, and maybe in his head, like he's just saying this is normal. I feel like Woody Allen, the director, is
The director of
of
Closer?
not this movie. No, no,
Oh,
no.
okay, okay.
No, no, no. Woody Allen. Why do I feel like that's like not his name? It's like, no, for the director of of
Well, well, Woody Allen is. There is a man named Woody
no,
Allen, director.
and he makes movies.
He
Uh,
does a lot of them.
no, I know. I'm sorry. I'm having like a moment. Um, Most of all of
Yeah,
his movies are about devious people cheating on other people. Like
yeah,
all the ones I've seen is about people cheating and
yeah.
people being dishonest,
Hmm.
and it's like this is a norm. And so I almost felt the same way of like, okay, this might just be how this guy wants to perceive life
Hmm.
and love, and maybe they're not bad. They're bad.
They're
They're bad.
so bad.
I know they're bad, but it's like,
It sounds like you're trying to sort of maybe sum up what the director's main point is with these characters,
yeah,
with the story. Um, I don't know. I mean, there could be the angle of, can you make a great film with despicable people? I mean, I suppose maybe there's that plays into it, but maybe he was just interested in seeing what these kinds of cheating people, how they would operate. Usually in a film, it's like there's only one person cheating or something like that, but to have the
yeah,
whole cast cheating on each other and lying to each other and doing these scheming each other, that's a little bit unusual,
yeah.
for sure. So
Hmm.
maybe he was just purely interested in that exploration. I don't know.
Either way, it's good. Like very. I like that. It's just different than normal movies because, like you said, it's not. There's always like a good person or a couple of good people, and I mean, like the show Shameless, which I'm catching up on.
Oh
Um,
man.
oh,
Yeah, no, no, I have a good friend of mine, Josh. He's like obsessed with that show, and he's always been screaming at me to watch Shameless.
it's really good.
I still have never seen it, sadly.
It's good. It's good.
That's a
It's
damn shame.
really good. It's dark, funny, but they're like bad people, but they're good. I don't know how to explain it, you know?
Hmm.
Like it's one of those things where there's just people are scheming to just that's how they live.
Hmm.
So,
I should watch it too, because chick that I adore in there, I think it's Emmy Rossum or something like
uh,
that, Rossum, something like that.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
she's great.
who is an amazing singer, if you have not heard. But um, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check out that show now.
You'd love it, I think.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
check it out. I was just going through the dialogue,
Hmm.
like on IMDb, like some of the quotes to see if anything stuck out. But there's so many great dialogue moments. My God. Um, I don't know if there's anything. Is there a moment of dialogue that stands out to you?
Um, I mean, I think I it may not be the best. There's a lot of moments that are just great, and obviously Clive Owen's scenes are one of the best. But
Amazing. Yeah.
I did like when Anna was taking Alice's picture, and they were having that dialogue with them, and she confronts Anna and says, "Hey, I heard you guys, and I know what's going on." And Anna says, "I'm not a thief." You know, she wanted her to know that. And I don't know, there was something about them talking that I really liked. I liked their little dynamic, and her kind of turning around with her tears. It's just take the picture.
Yeah, yeah, a very abrupt moment too, for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, the dialogue in this film is immense. I think maybe the only line of dialogue that I really liked from Dan, just because it was so clever, is Anna. She says, "I don't kiss strange men," and he says, "Neither do I." It's like, you cheeky bastard. Um, but I don't know if there's a particular line that stands out, but it's all good, really,
Yeah,
honestly.
completely
Um,
agree.
but yeah, I don't know. Any final thoughts on Closer before we close out?
I just love the feel of the movies from the 2000s, the 90s, and there's just something about Natalie Portman and every film she's in that it's just, I don't know. I love her
Oh
a
my god,
lot.
she's one of my well, obviously she's one of my favorite actresses because I'm like
Mine too.
obsessed with this movie called Garden State by Zach Braff, and she I think that's where I first. No, I'm lying. I fell in love with her in Star Wars. But after Star Wars, Garden State is when I really discovered her, and I was like, "Whoa, this is quite a range." Her in Garden State, so that's where I started to like follow her. But
She
and
plays
one,
those characters really well.
yeah, for sure, she's one of the best. One thing I was gonna ask before we reassess the rating was what was it about the film? Because you said that this film kind of really hit you, or you thought it was like heartbreaking. Was there like a certain scene that really hit you, or
Hmm. I I don't know if it was a scene. I think it was just
because with like say Blue Valentine, which we reviewed, that movie really just bothered the hell out of me. It just disturbed me so hard. Like just to see it, this deconstruction of a single relationship over such a great amount of time between two people who seemed uh, pretty well fitted at the very beginning was just like
yeah.
it's like torturous. My God, it was like a horror film to me. But
That
but
makes I yeah, that makes sense actually.
so yeah, I was just curious if there was like a certain scene in Closer where you were just like, oh man,
I mean, I think I really felt bad for Alice when Dan left her the first time. I
the first time.
just because it seemed like a very real breakup, something that would happen in real life,
Hmm.
and her acting was really great, just of someone heartbroken. So I think, but like I told you, I had to chew on it for a while because I was like, do I like this movie or do I hate this movie? Which has never actually happened to me before, where I actually thought like that. So
Really?
I don't hate it at all because it's not a bad movie. Like, but like you said with Blue Valentine, it's hard. It's just hard to watch it. It's like a car crash. You know, for me, it's enjoy. I can just watch it all the time. But
Well, with all the time, but with Blue Valentine,
not all the time. But you know,
like, oh, it ended. Play it again. Give it a remote.
oh
No,
no,
with oh man, God, that movie disturbs me. Blue. At least with Closer, there are darkly humorous moments to me for sure. Some are a little
yeah.
bit obvious, like the chat room. That's obvious, but I think there's darkly humorous moments for sure. With Blue Valentine, it's just nah,
No, it's
nah.
not. There's funny moments.
I think there was like maybe like two. Like, and they all took place when like things weren't dark, you know, like the
Yeah,
two of them on the
okay.
bus.
Yeah.
Talking about Blue Valentine, but
I know.
uh, God, that movie disturbed me.
Oh my gosh.
But it just seems like the whole movie maybe just made you feel a kind of way closer.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Basically.
because it does show the characters not pulling any punches. It's kind of like the Wolf of Wall Street, where very similarly, like Scorsese, he's not. He's just showing these people as they are, and that's it. He's not trying to like suggest something. Like, is that's just how they are. What do you think about that? You know. So
Right.
There's no sugarcoating, that's for sure.
Right.
And I still don't think there was any nudity. I've been thinking about this. I don't think there was. I feel like I would remember if there was like random bare ass or something. Like I'm not thinking of anything.
Someone in the comments is gonna be like, "There was," or they like,
Yeah.
there's always someone.
I don't think so. There was no sex though. I would have
No,
remembered. I would have remembered.
you're right. Yeah, that blew my mind, honestly, because I was like, there was tons of it. There wasn't. How crazy!
There's
My
not.
mind is.
Yeah.
What is it? It's like I'm very visual, I guess. Like just the dialogue was so graphic that in my head, I swear it was just filled with it. So,
Yeah, I don't know. I had a similar thing with John Carpenter's Halloween. Someone was like, "There's no gore in the film." I was like, "Yes, there." I was like, "There isn't." Wasn't that movie like really bloody? It wasn't. Like that just blew my mind. Older, but
huh.
um, but yeah, I'm feeling. I've always felt this, but it's a 10 out of 10 for me. Closer. I mean, a movie with that much talking that keeps me interested. Oh yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. I didn't fall asleep. I was never bored. There wasn't any moments where I was like, oh, they could tighten up. Like no, I thought it. I liked how time was non-linear. Dialogue is really witty, and the performances. Everyone had chemistry with each other, even if they didn't like each other. Yeah, so to me, it's a masterpiece of. Yeah, it's a masterpiece. I
Dialogue.
love it.
No, I agree. Actually, I said 9 out of 10 because I think it was more of like the chewing on it.
Yeah,
But it's kind of hard. It is kind of it's a perfect movie because it's not action packed. It's not like guns a blazing,
no,
people just jumping out of the windows. I mean, it's just plain old dialogue. And I don't know. There's not a lot of movies that just do that anymore, where it's just two people in a scene and we're intrigued by them. So
right.
I think, yeah, I would give that a 10 out of 10 because of I'll admit to it. Even if my heart says no, I my logic says yes,
Hmm.
so I have to go with that. Yeah, I definitely think it's a really great. Just the dialogue, great dialogue.
Yeah, um, really great, distinctive characters as well. I run to that, especially for the female characters, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They're so specific in this film. Um, yeah, it's just not something you always see. Complex female main characters. Not something you see too often. But yeah, if you don't have anything else to add, I think I'm out of ideas.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm done with it.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna close out. On the bottom right hand side of the screen, you'll see a little circular button. Make sure you hit that to subscribe, like as well. Let us know your thoughts on the film down below. What did you think about our discussion? Let us know, and I think we're about to close out. So, peace.
Yep.